Hello, hello. Welcome once again to the Quoth Raven for Thursday, April 12th, 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Louis Raven. Joining me as always, or almost always, that boy, Chris Hall. Also
hello.
As this week, Lou Snafu. One of these days, he's going to be the chartreuse something.
The chartreuse chameleon.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. But I said that just didn't sound good. But I'll let you come up with it. But oh well. What kind of hat you wearing there? Oh, just
Under Armour.
Under Armour. Okay, I thought I saw a different sign on there. John just messaged us. John is our third, and he says he is planning on being here next week. Cool, awesome. All righty. So we now know what that's going on. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. It's a big night, so to speak. Partly because we got a lot of reviews to go, but we had some questions in the mailbag this week, Chris. Let's see what they've got for us. Did you hear about the recent filing just today that infers that Alliance will be the winning side on who gets Diamond's assets? What do you think about Alliance's possible stance towards the comics industry? This came from multiple parties. They sent me to ICV2's statement. Let's go ahead and see what they had to say. Filing indicates that Diamond will be sold to Alliance Entertainment based on the results of a hearing posted by Milton Reap on April 10th, 2025 at 5:45 p.m. Central Time, which means 6:45. So this is like only a couple hours old information. Comic distributors and subsidiaries, including Alliance game distributors, will be sold to Alliance Entertainment, according to a filing in the bankruptcy case today. Although Alliance Entertainment was declared the winner on the day of the bankruptcy auction, Diamond attempted to change the winner to a joint bid from Universal Distribution and WizKids and NECA parent Ad Populum Limited Liability Corporation, which resulted in a lawsuit from Alliance Entertainment last weekend. See Alliance Entertainment sues Diamond, and a hearing was held on that issue and other matters this week, and the following referred to those results. According to the file today, on a deadline date move, at the hearing, the court indicated that it was prepared to enter an order approving the sale of substantially all of the debtors' assets to Alliance Entertainment upon the debtors' submission of a final form order and revised asset purchase agreement consistent with statements being made on record at the sale hearing. So basically, they're waiting for the order from the court, but it appears that the decision has been made. What does this exactly mean? Well, the key to that statement about the debtors, the debtors are publishers, the debtors are retailers as well. And Diamond has to make sure that this sale is in agreement with what Image wants, with what other people want as well. So it's not, even though the court is going to tell you, yes, you got to sell the Alliance, it is probably Diamond's requisite to make sure that whatever the sale goes through, that it's going to satisfy as much of the debtors as possible.
Right.
Well, and I don't know for sure how that affects what Image filed, because what Image filed had to do with them signing a contract, which is not necessarily in Diamond's purview to do. Now, what that means is probably if Alliance goes through with the sale, a company like Image would be able to take that contract and pull it out and say they want to renegotiate it, which would be fair, I think. But Alliance could turn and say, well, we'll uphold those contracts for X amount of period and see what's going on. And then after that period, once we get familiar with one another, we can renegotiate. And that might be something that gets to a settlement as well. And that might be a situation for many different publishers or debtors in terms of the printer and the publishing debts that Diamond would owe, and how long that would take, into what expediency will be determined by the courts. I think. So there's that. But what does it have to do with the stance now? Well, originally when we talked about this, and the alliance was announced as the possible winner, or probable winner, a lot of people were worried about Bruce Ogilvy, the one of the head people at Alliance, not being a comics person and not really knowing the market, so to speak, and his interview with Dennis Barger Jr. and others that aren't necessarily fully aware of his type of side of the business.
Right.
They know their side of the business, and their fans and their comic book people, and they ask questions that Bruce doesn't necessarily have the answers for, because he didn't even have a chance to really see what the operations were yet. So he said some comments that put a lot of people in panic mode that I don't know is really necessary yet. But because that was done, and because of the way Diamond kind of pulled this stunt, I don't know if they're going to give Diamond the 6 to 18 months that is normal for a transitional phase on a buyout like this. There might be some hostility now, and that might change the timetables a little bit. To what extent, I don't know, because I'm not privy to how Alliance is really set up to feeling about this situation.
But wouldn't it make sense that it would be in Alliance's best interest to take that time?
Absolutely, but we're also talking about people's egos and people's emotional reactions to a certain circumstance too. So hopefully, once this is resolved, hopefully cooler heads will prevail. And, hopefully, if the right people, whether it's me or David Campiti or Ben Dunn or some others, can get through the Alliance channels to Bruce and to others and say, hey, take a breather. We understand your frustration. Let's see what we can figure out.
Right.
Because ultimately, we want Alliance to serve the industry's needs. And that means we as publishers and as creators need to look at Alliance as an ally and say, what can we do to help you help us?
Exactly.
And I just don't know. I think a lot of people are just in this holding pattern of not knowing and fearing the unknown, basically. And, I think that, the time for that is to just, it's not that it's completely past, but it's time to take a deep breath and relax for a second,
Which, as we all know, is the comic book industry's strong point. No, the comic book industry has never said the sky is falling.
well, yeah. So there is that. But as far as, I don't really think that we're really going to have the dire destruction that some people have predicted in the last week or two over this. I would
tend to agree. Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so there's that.
When it all comes down to it, it's all a business, and everybody's just looking to make some money. And so, hopefully that can be facilitated.
Yes. Our next question is, can you guys do an episode where you fantasy league your versions of Marvel and DC? From Miguel Esser in Illinois. What do you think of that idea, Chris?
Depends on what they mean by fantasy league. Are they talking like character matchups or like artist match? Like,
I think he's talking
artist versus artist.
I think what he's talking about is more like, what would you do if you were running it? Who would you book on the books? Which creative teams?
Oh, that would take some forethought on my part. Yeah, I would have to think about that one. I couldn't come up with something right off the top of my head.
Oh no. He's talking about us do an episode in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to give that some fair thought. Yeah,
but it's something that you would be interested in doing, or
I could do that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see what John thinks as well, and if that's the case, then we'll see. Okay.
I think John would be like, give Disney control of it all.
Disney already has control of like 2/3 of it already.
No, like direct hands on.
But well, I mean, they do have direct hands on, but I don't know. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, but anyway, I
no, like we want to see Spider Duck.
That's another question that was actually asked, but it's for John, so we have to wait for John to be on the show to have him answer that question. So we'll ask him that next week. But let's go on to the next question. But that might be something we'll look into doing anyway. Oh, this is a good one. If you could bring back any deceased comics creator and have them be in the prime of their health and creative powers, who would it be?
Well, I'll let you go first, Lewis.
Oh, you're going to let me go first. I'm waiting on you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Emotionally, I'm going to say George Perez. Partly because he's one of my favorites, and he's still one of the people I used to emulate a lot and learned a lot from. But if I'm going in terms of historical significance, I'd have to either say either Wally Wood or Jack Kirby.
Okay. Well, I think you know what I would say.
No, I don't actually.
He was part of Marvel for me growing up. I would have to go with Big John.
Oh, Big John Buscema.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good choice. That's absolutely a fair choice.
He's one of my favorites, and he was like an essential, like how to draw Marvel comics. That was, I grew up with that. So
that's absolutely a fair choice. I got no complaint about that.
Now the question is, could those guys get a job in today's industry?
Yeah, that is a good question. But well, if John was still alive and was peaking powers, he'd probably still be the art director in Marvel. I think he'd be like,
probably, yeah, you're right. He probably would be, yeah.
So I think it would be like more like, he'd be telling who was getting jobs rather than him worrying about having to get a job himself. But maybe, who knows?
We would have a very different Marvel.
Yes, I think we would. But that would be interesting. Yeah, that is actually a really good choice. I did not, believe it or not, you just blindsided me completely. I was not even thinking.
Oh, okay. I thought you would have thought that one right off the bat.
Nope. I really hadn't thought about it because I just got asked the question like 20 minutes ago. So I was just like, oh, okay. I was thinking about my answer more than anybody else's. So yeah, but that's good. What would you have him working on?
I always loved him on the Avengers, so
that's a good choice. No, Tom Palmer's not with us either, so he wouldn't have Tom to ink him. It would look a little bit different.
True.
But I wonder who to ink him. I don't know. I put Gary Martin on him.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That is a fair choice, yes.
Yeah. John Buscema and Gary Martin on the book. Who's writing it?
You.
Oh, God. Me?
You.
Okay. Wow. Jeez. I don't know how I'm going to manage that one, but I'll figure it out.
I'm sure you could figure it out.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have to fantasy league that out and figure out how I would do this, because that's the last thing I would have expected. That I guess you're actually the first person who's ever mentioned me with Avengers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've been asked. I've been asked to write X-Men a lot. I've been asked to write Guardians of the Galaxy, but never Avengers. So
I know you have your absolute strong opinions
mhm.
on those books, so
Yeah,
I think you would do extremely well.
yeah, yeah, but I don't know. Avengers. Wow, what kind of Avengers would you expect me to write then?
I think the first thing you would do.
I mean, am I going modern MCU style? Am I, something that's pertaining closer to the MCU lineup? Am I doing something that's more classic? I don't know. That's a good one. I'll have to think about that. But that was cool. Oh wow.
Yeah, I have to think about the lineup.
Yeah, that would be something else. Okay. Let's see what you've got another question here.
Okay, we'll just make it West Coast Avengers.
Oh, I'm doing West Coast.
Just kidding.
I'm doing West Coast. Okay. In other words, I'm correcting the stuff that I did in my these. Woo! That would be interesting. Oh, lordy. Okay. Oh, okay. Now here's one that I was not expecting today either. I found a copy of a Book of Ravens called Supreme 6, issue number 4 from 1994. What is the value of that book today? Oh, Lord. Oh, geez.
Well, what was the print run on that book?
5,500.
That's it?
That's it, 5,500. Yep, 5,500.
I would imagine just by nature of there being like probably 4 of them left.
Well, here's the thing. I printed 5,500, but only 210 of them were sold through the diamond market. So the fact that you even came across one at all is, I'm kind of beside myself, because even I don't own a copy of it anymore. So I'm almost like, what it's worth is, what do you want for it?
Yeah, I mean, it would almost absolutely have to go up on auction and just see what what could be gotten for it.
Yeah,
because I don't think there is a definitive.
No, there's no definitive pricing because it wasn't marketed to. It was marketed through Diamond Market, but it wasn't carried and supported through the Diamond Market like most other independent comics. So, even though I sold a lot of copies outside of the Diamond Market, so to speak, the availability of those issues are kind of determines that, and whether there's anybody who even cares. Plus, you got the middle of the storyline. You don't have the rest of the stories, the other 7 issues. So I don't know. But if I was going to say what I would think most people would say it was worth, if you were to take it to a comic shop, they would tell you it was probably a price or less. But because they don't know the product. If you found a diehard fan of mine, or depending on the condition, because he didn't send me a photo of the book, I don't know what the condition of the book is. But if he sent me if he showed me there was a really good condition, and I could actually use that to scan it and reconfigure it and get the other 7 issues and then put it together as a collection or something, then it would have some pretty high value, I think.
I would say so.
Hope that makes sense. I hope that answered your question. So
them coming across that book is probably about as rare as me coming across a religious comic book edited by David Campini at a local thrift store.
Yeah. That's just it. You probably would find myself in a local thrift store more than you would from a comic shop. I don't know where he found it. He didn't give me enough information. He just sent me the cover logo, and and the cover. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the book, but I don't know if that's, I don't know what the condition of the actual book is.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different factors that determine comic book, value. It's rarity, it's condition, it's if it's not a well-known book, it's how are other books in the market that are similar to that book doing. So I mean, there's a lot of different variables.
Yeah. So okay. So if you have a question for us, go ahead and email me at quothravenlbr72gmail.com, subject Q&A. Okay. We got lots more to go. We should get right on it, right?
Yep. We got a lot of reviews to do.
Okay, let's start with Absolute Green Lantern. It's not presenting like it should, of course. Why would it do that, right? There you go. Absolute Green Lantern #1 for $4.99. Publisher DC Comics. Writer Al Ewing. Artist Janoy Lindsay. Lettering by Lucas Gattoni. Cover artist is by Lindsay, shown. There was also covers by Esad Ribic, Juliet Necta, Ryan Benjamin and Rain Barreto, Martin Simmons, Helena Macelis, Raphael Albuquerque, with editors Andrew Marino, Ash Padilla, Katie Kubert, and Chris Conroy. Genre is science fiction, superhero, horror, ? Because I was like, it's kind of got like this kind of weird invasion body horror thing going on. Anyway, released April 2nd, 2025. What's it about? In this reimagination of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan becomes possessed with an alien weapon after Abin Sur arrives, and he has no control over it. The Void of Willie is completely fearful, but there is no Yellow Lantern, only the Black Hand that has overtaken his left hand. What is it? What threat does it hold to Hal and humanity itself? What if Abin Sur did this to Hal, who holds the power of the Green Lantern? And if Abin Sur did this to Hal, who holds the power of the Green Lantern? Well, it's Jo Malene, but she's barely seen this issue as this issue was all set up. What did I think? Well, like most writers, see Jeff Johns and his shitty world building and Geiger, Al Ewing, quote unquote, creates a non-existent town called Evergreen, Nevada, and tries to play the story akin to that region of the country. Well, my having lived in Nevada for over a decade, just like when I complained about Geiger, I found myself rolling my eyes. Can't these bastards actually do some research and know the area well enough to give some clue as to what they're writing about? The city has a giant GL reading symbol crash in the middle of the town, covering several city blocks. Newsflash, dumbasses. Nellis Air Force Base is in Las Vegas, and anything that fucking large in that shape, they're going to pick it up on radar and send out planes to go check out to it. Now, our good buddy Hal Jordan, normally an ace pilot, would be perfect to be an Air Force pilot, or even just a pilot who was in the air when the alien craft appeared, when he crashed or got absorbed into it and then found himself wandering in the desert, confused and with his black hand. But hell no. This Hal Jordan is a nerd boy, toy hunter, collector, salesperson.
What?
Yep. So I immediately started thinking, this character is the Super Friends toy man with a black hand. I ain't got the black hand. Because Ewing focuses on Hal, the character who actually receives the Green Lantern power, Jo Malene, is barely present, and we're not even shown how or why she got the power in the first issue. Nothing is really explained, and Hal just wipes out a bunch of humans and is now a mass murderer. This book is stupid. Very disappointed. I want a good quality Green Lantern book about Jo Malene, but apparently so long as we have fanfic writers like Al Ewing and Jeremy Adams, who writes Green Lantern Corps, and is writing Jo as a tiny sip wannabe girlfriend for John Stewart, that's not going to happen. And I can safely assume that we're not going to see a good Jo Malene comic anytime soon. The art in this book is uneven and lackluster at best. I'm not saying Lindsay's work is bad, but there's a little bit too much manga style without solid fundamental drawing going on. It feels too much digitally composited rather than a properly illustrated book. While they do some interesting things at times, like flattening the cop like a literal pancake in the middle of the road was well conceived, other times it just feels like they didn't quite understand the assignment. But that could be just as much of a problem with the plot or script that they were given as much as anything else. I don't know. I guess I should have been prepared for a letdown given that it was reviewing writing it. I'm very doubtful that I will continue reading this issue. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And that's the 2 is basically for the art. The writing gets a 0.
So they turned Hal Jordan from a heroic, fearless test pilot into a rage nerd killing machine?
Basically. And he can't control his rage or nerdness. He's just, I'm not doing it. It's the hand. It's the hand. So just cut the freaking hand off.
Oh, God, right?
You know?
The real Hal Jordan would have done that.
The real Hal Jordan would have been like, I will just become Ash. Give me a freaking...
Right.
Hey, somebody give me a green, what is it, chainsaw. I'll be chainsaw green. John Deere green lawn saw. Anyway, it's just
this bad. Is my boom ring.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But let's take a look at the art anyway. Or no, we don't have the art up. Okay, just a second. I thought I did. The art, like I said, it's not bad. Do I have it here or is it over at the It's over at the entertainment. You want me to go get it?
I mean, is it similar to the art in the first issue?
It is the first issue.
Oh, I thought we had read a Green Lantern issue from before about.
That was Green Lantern Corps.
I was confused. I apologize.
Let me go get it real quick. I thought it was right to my side, maybe it wasn't. All right, I'm back. I apologize, folks.
I suppose if we're going to give it a 2 based on art, then the people want to see the art, right?
Yeah, that's fair. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of the artwork. Here's an interesting part. I mean, the police officer has confronted Hal. He wants to take Hal to take the hand out of his pocket because he thinks he's got a weapon. And the black hand just flattens him across. Makes him dimensional like that. And the smoke is the gun firing from the cop's pistol.
Okay.
That's an interesting idea. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
He walks into town, doesn't take the cop car the rest of the way into town, just leaves that behind. I'd at least take the car.
Right.
Yeah. I might not take it all the way into town. I'd take it a little closer and then get into. I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, it was something else. They call it episode 1, the Black Hand. Yeah. Let's do a whole 2-page spread of this. That's
why not?
That's like a complete waste of space, isn't it?
Well, it adds to the page count.
I guess. I do not like this May and Mo. That sign does not look like it would even fit in real life.
Right.
I don't know. It's just that would just like completely tip over and smash onto the street, if you ask me, into the parking lot. He comes into the cafe and starts asking, and they're talking about the invasion. But let me see if I can show the. Okay, here we go. Look how big this thing is, perspective wise. You're talking about several city blocks. There's all sorts of helicopters around, but there's no way. Air Force would be telling them to get the hell out of the airspace.
Yes, they absolutely would.
So it's just like, this doesn't work for me.
Of course, To be fair, in the Marvel universe, there's a giant hand sticking up out of the ocean, and nobody came to investigate that.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, some of this isn't too bad. But do you see what I mean by it looks kind of...
Yeah, there's a definite manga influence there, I could see.
And, you can see that they're talking about a few days ago how big that thing was in the sky before it hit. There's just
the art's not too bad. I don't think the art is too bad.
Yeah, the art's fine. I just, now here's all he's killed everybody in the diner.
Somebody likes their double page spreads.
Yes. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I had no control. I have no control over this." They shot him. It doesn't matter. He's like, "I can't be killed because the Black Hand's keeping me alive." And then finally Joe shows up. "Hey, what happened to you?" So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really keen on this one, but it is what it is. Alrighty, let's go a little bit better round on the next one, and that is Absolute Martian Manhunter #1 for $4.99. Publisher DC Comics, writer Denise Camp, or Dennis, it should be not Denise, pardon me, Dennis Camp. Artist Javier Rodriguez, lettering by Hassan Asmani El-How. Cover artist by Rodriguez, that's the one that's shown. Guillaume Marcus Martin, Raphael Albuquerque again, David Aja, Daniel Warren Johnson with Mike Spicer. Editors are Sabrina Futch and Katie Kubert. Genre SF superhero, released March 26, 2025. What is it about? FBI agent John Jones, assigned to a task force to preemptively prevent a terrorist event, gets murdered with a Martian, and they have to work together to not only solve crimes with threats to humanity, but figure out how to save John's marriage. I think it's a really good first issue in terms of how today's introductory issues tend to be done. We are getting a good idea of who John Jones is and was. We see different means of how the Martian reads minds. And it's cleverly rendered by artist Javier Rodriguez. Dennis Camp's story is reasonably engaging, and I want to continue reading the book, which, as you know, I really don't want to read it. Absolute GL. I might give it a few more issues, but I don't think I will. We'll see. But the coloring on this title is what is really absolutely stunning. It really makes the title pop, and it stands out on shelves, and I think that adds significantly to the appeal of this book. I do wonder if Rodriguez can keep up the schedule for this as an ongoing, doing all the work of the book by himself. And I think it will need for it to be all him, because I don't see another colorist emulating this look consistently. What do you, as the resident computer colorist, think about that, Chris?
I don't think the coloring style is hard to pull off. I think it just needs to be, of course, consistent, because it is highly saturated. It's a bold, flat style. But I don't. It's not hard to pull off. So
okay, you're saying it's not that hard. Okay,
yeah,
all right. I'll be all right. I'll acquiesce to your expertise on that one. I don't know.
Joey Joe doesn't like it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
It can be a bit off-putting. It is a bit pop, like poppy art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's definitely pop art style rather than traditional comics per se.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and you gave it a 3. What other thoughts do you have on the book, Chris?
I gave it a 3. I liked the art style. It wasn't anything like wow for me. And at first I was like, okay, why are they making, Martian Manhunter's been an African American guy for how long now? I mean, quite a while. And so why are they making him white? And kind of what I got from this was either this is a brand new, complete version of Martian Manhunter with another, matched with another human or a person,
Mm-hmm.
or is it maybe the old Martian Manhunter that somehow got displaced and like he's
Yeah, there's
attached to a human host? Or I wasn't sure there. So
well, it sounds like it's the original Martian Manhunter from like the 50s or early 60s, so to speak, merged with the modern day version of the classic John Jones, who was white. That's what it feels like to me, but I can't answer that question fully for you. You did that.
right, no, I was just curious. I was just putting it out there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it was decent. It was a good comic book, so I enjoyed reading it.
If nothing else, it's right in the middle of the pack. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it as far as it's really bad. Like Green Lantern was just bad. I'm sorry.
I do think they went kind of gimmicky with it, with the whole Martian vision.
Mm-hmm.
Still hold it up to the light.
Yeah, that was kind of neat in a way, but it's an old-fashioned type of gimmick. But at least it was there. You know?
No, but it's just a very gimmicky book.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see if it has the writing chops and the art style to keep it up.
Yep. Our next book is back issue number 158 for $10.95. Publisher TwoMorrows Publishing. Writers and artists are various. As a genre, is an interview historical review magazine for ages 13 and up. It was released in February 3rd, 2025. The theme of this issue was Hey Mister, and features articles about Steve Ditko's Mr. A, Michael T. Gilbert's Mr. Monster, Robert Crumb's Mr. Natural, Dean Motter's Mr. X, Archie Comics' Mr. Weatherby, the principal of the Riverdale High School, Reed Richards, a.k.a. Mr. Fantastic, and, of course, Mr. Freeze, as you can see on the cover, and more. What did I think of this? Fun read. Learned some things I didn't know, which is always good, and the whole point of the magazine, as far as I'm concerned. For example, I didn't realize it was Mr. Monster's 40th anniversary. I thought he came out later than that. So I was a little bit surprised that he'd been around for 40 years. I thought he was first published in 87, which would be another 2 years, in other words, for 40th anniversary. Probably because I think I picked him up for the first time in 87. And, that would mean a lot of those, things, that era, the 80s, I get a little bit confused as to when they might have started. But I digress. My favorite article was, in fact, the Mr. Monster article, and then the Mr. Freeze article. I was kind of, I won't say bored, more like disinterested in the Reed Richards article, which was kind of surprising because, they did talk to John Byrne a little bit, or take quotes from Byrne. You'd think I would be at least interested in that part, but I don't know. I think because of all the things that have been done with the Fantastic Four in recent decades, I've lost my interest in that character completely. But, and of course I knew nothing about Mr. Weatherby because I've never really read Archie comics, but that was a decent enough article as well. Overall, just another excellent issue by TwoMorrows magazine. One of the best. I don't want to call it a news zine because it doesn't really talk about news, but just, a pop cultural discussion of what's cool in comics. That's what they are. And I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think you had a chance to find a copy of this, did you, Chris?
I did not, no.
Okay. All right, then. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This is yours.
All right. So this is Let This One Be a Devil, number 2. Goes for $4 from publisher Dark Horse Comics.
$4.99.
Huh?
$4.99.
$4.99. Sorry, I didn't see it behind that. All right. Writer James Tynion. The fourth, Steve Fox. Art is Peter Kowalski with colors by Brad Simpson. Covers by Gavin Fullerton. Peter Kowalski with Simpson. Lettering is Tom Napolitano. Editors Greg Lockard, Daniel Chabon, Chuck Howat-Leese, and Foster K. Cuppins. Genre fantasy horror. Released April 2nd, 2025. What it's about. At the scene of the unholy birth in 1735, the Leeds family confronts the demonic monster in their midst. And in the early 1900s, Henry Naughton continues the hunt for answers about the mysterious creature he encountered on the farm and discovers the terrible connection between it and the Leeds family in the past.
Okay, my thoughts first. Oh, my word. this has to be one of the most exposition-filled books I've ever seen in the comics. There is almost no action to speak of. It's all just a telling of historical backstory for the entire issue, and I was so bored. If this was a movie and I was watching it on DVD or on a TV where I could fast forward it through to get to something we're seeing, I would have. It's not that the information dump isn't pertinent to the story. It is. It's just give me something, give me some action to break up the monotony, please. Oh God. Once you're past the escape of the devil in the first 3-4 pages, the story is just dull as dishwater, and I was completely bummed out.
Yeah, well, that's a fair enough analysis. See, I'm a huge cryptid fan, so I love seeing anything about cryptids in comic form. I think that's just really cool. I love the backstory. I know the story of the Leeds family and the Jersey Devil and all that stuff. But I thought the story was good. The coloring again leaves me confused. The flashbacks are so almost monochromatic that it's hard to tell what is what on the page and in the panels. It's just I get that they're trying to go for like the witch type, like dull, monotonous, but it just makes no sense. Like you could do a little bit of color separation and that would just help immensely. The so on quote unquote more current in the 1900s, that coloring is fantastic. I love the art. Overall, I'm really enjoying the book though. So
okay, well, I gave it 2.5, and Chris gave it a 3.5 for this issue. Yeah. But again, you're like really engaged. If you were not such a fan of this particular cryptid, if it wasn't your wheelhouse, and you were just trying this, do you think you would be as enthused?
Probably not, because it is a slow burn.
Okay.
Or a simmer or whatever you want.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. This very monochromatic look that's almost all browns and tans. You lose so much of this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you're the colorist. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say you can tell by looking at the story from the 1900s that the colorist knows exactly what they're doing. They're a good, they're a good colorist. It's just I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
Do you have any pages from the 1900s?
I'm looking for the book because I don't think I do.
Okay.
Oh no, I don't have the book here, do I? We did the other way. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, this when you get to just the color of the tail, even.
Yeah.
That pops. This whole right page, even though it's all pretty monochromatic, it still pops compared to the page on the left.
Right. The right page is like a Tootsie Roll. The left page is like plain oatmeal.
Okay. That's it. Okay. All right.
You're like, oh, a little bit of flavor. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. there is a little bit of, like red blood stain here around the cape, or on the, whatever's covering the Jersey Devil there. And it's
right.
Still consistent there. But I would have I don't know, maybe instead of a brownish tone for the midwife, I would have used like a blue or a green, something to just give it something,
Right. Oh, and Joey, this is the second issue. This is not the first issue. So they're still setting up the story.
Yeah.
It's all like Lewis says, there's a lot of exposition.
Yeah. Extreme exposition. It's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But anyway, yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe for $4.99. Publishers Archaia Boom Studios. Writer colorist David Peterson with line art by Gabriel Rodriguez. Cover is shown one here is Gabriel Rodriguez with David Peterson. And Goni Montez, Derek Loftman, and Walter Simonson did a cover with colors by Peterson, but unfortunately I couldn't find a copy of that. Otherwise I'd share it. That's freaking Walter Simonson.
Right.
Editors David Marriott and Bryce Carlson. Genre Fantasy. Release date March 19th, 2025. What it's about. Adventure with the ancient weapon's first mouse wielder and champion, Bardrick, as he sets off on an epic quest, the earliest tale in Mouse Guard's history, which is awesome idea. This is a throwback to the origins of the whole series, so to speak, because Mouse Guard's been around forever. Bardrick, I should say Bardrick, pardon me. Bardrick is kicked out of the guard, and he goes on a personal quest to face the Meisten's enemies alone. Semi-befriended by an elk who leads him to his first confrontation, the blind snake Gameltan, Bardrick must vanquish his foe. Now, I'm not like a huge fan of Mouse Guard. I'm kind of an off and on again, when it catches my interest. But I figured the best thing to do is look at this book as though it's coming to the series for the first time. Gabriel Rodriguez is doing absolutely stellar artwork in this. The storytelling, the character design are exquisite. I'm trying to make sure. I don't know. Okay. All right. Anyway, Peterson is, of course, the original creator of the character, so it's interesting to see another artist doing an interpretation while remaining true to Peterson's vision. Story is crafted well enough that I don't need to be familiar with the franchise to enjoy the book, but I do wonder if legitimate first-time readers will be left wondering all about Meistem characters that Bardrick leaves behind, or if they'll just overlook them and focus on Bardrick's adventure. Overall, great start. I wish more people talked about this series because it's really woefully underappreciated, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Did you get a chance to read this, Chris?
I did not have the time to read it. I'm sorry. But I will say I do appreciate, I'm impressed by the fact that they took the time to actually find out what a hognose snake is and draw one on the cover.
Yeah.
Instead of just like your, yield generic snake.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's, everything. I mean, they do a lot of really good detail and studying and everything on that as a whole. Let me see. I don't know if I was able to get a scan of any of the art or not, and I was not. So let me go back real quick. Let me see. It's not here, is it? Maybe it is. Nope, that's that one. I put my books over on the other table because I didn't want to have them all packed up,
That's okay. What do you think, Joey? Is Black Axe your cup of tea? Do you appreciate a well-drawn snake? Do you like the fantasy genre?
I don't know where I put it. Oh, well. That figures. Oh, boy. Let's see. Maybe it's in the Black Star? No. There it is. I found it. It was.
Okay.
Okay. This is a little bit different sized comic, as you can see.
That is, yeah. It's a bizarre size.
Yep. But I mean, just well painted.
Yeah, and of course it's going to draw comparisons to like Secret of Nim, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Joey's not really into the animal stories. There was only 2 people at our store who got this. Myself and one of Joey's coworkers, our raccoon guy. I can't think of his name right now. Chad.
Yeah, it's gorgeous art.
So I'm like, this is my kind of my thing there. But let's go ahead and get him into the scenes with the snake.
Oh yeah, really nice. I suppose if you're going to draw an animal book, you have to, your animals should be well drawn. So.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just, overall just well done.
Yeah, extremely well done.
So, yeah, I'm happy with this. I was quite pleased, and even after the if you can see, the elk really isn't there. It's kind of like this mysterious like ghost elk.
Ghost elk.
It disappears. Like if you're not going to, like, I'm your guide. I'm not your I'll fight your battles. You have to figure it out. But there's like all this extra behind the scenes look in the back of the book as well as to how he did the layouts for like different things, like the nest for the snake.
Very cool. Love it.
Yeah, so certainly worth the $4.90. There you go. The art is nice. Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And that will be Black Star. It's an original graphic novel for $12.99. Publisher Alien Bookstore, 2 cover versions. Writer Ricardo Barrero, by translation by Mauro Veliz. Art by Juan Jimenez. Lettering design by Ezequiel Inverne. The cover here by Juan Jimenez. It should be Jimenez. And Ariel Olivetti, which I'll show you in a moment. Editor Martin Casanova. Genre science fiction, released March 19th, 2025. I just got these last week, or earlier this week, I should say, from the store because it just took that long for Diamond to get it to our store. What is it about? On the run from Imperial Guards, a young motorist meets a mysterious man who helps him escape. The pair embark on a high-risk, high-reward opportunity as they pick up a strong-minded robot and an unexpected pilot on their way to uncover the secrets of the galaxy. Originally released in Spanish in 1983, this is the first time it's been in print in English from Alien Books. There's the cover for Ariel Olivetti, which is also nice looking there.
Yeah, extremely nice.
What I think of it is it's a really fun romp that fans of Star Wars, Firefly, and Valerian should enjoy. The story's a bit loose at times, although that could be due to the translation. I have looked at the Spanish one. It seems the scripting seems a little bit crisper on the translation in the original Spanish than in the English. But like, but it has a very nice pulpy science fiction vibe to the story that reminds me of the classic science fiction Jamie Retief stories by Keith Laumer from the 1950s to the 1980s. And that made me think of Jan Cernan and Dennis Fujitaki's comics adaptations of those stories from the 1980s as well. I love the watercolor artwork by Jimenez. I do wish more American comics were made like this, where the line artist does your own hand-colored artwork, and then maybe have a computer person like yourself enhance it a little bit. I'll probably return to this book with a little more in-depth review in the future. There's just too many books to review and not enough time. But for now, let's just say I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think you got a chance to look at this, did you?
I did not, but it looks extremely European. The colors and the line art, of course, are gorgeous. And I have to say that I just think Europe and the whole comic book scene over there, they're on their own. They seem to be on their own time schedule. Like everything is just more laid back there. Like they take more time for quality.
And again, this is all hand done.
Yeah.
And of course, this was 83 when this was originally produced. So you didn't have the same kind of computer technology that you do today. So you're going to have a lot more traditional feel to a lot of this artwork, even though it was touched up in the computer on the remake.
Yeah, it definitely looks heavy metal. Yeah, Joey. 100%.
Yep.
Matter of fact, this may find itself into the newly published Metal Hurlant
Yeah.
at some time in the
Yeah.
future. You never know.
Right. But yeah, it has a very Star Wars vibe. I mean, the biker kid character is kind of like wanted for certain things. As you can see, there's a police report on him, and then the secret guy who's driving the thing is like, well, I want you for a certain hired job, and you got a choice. You can either get turned into cops or work with me, basically. But it's pretty cool overall. But the old man is kind of like this weird looking split faced person, and it's like they're talking, they're in a bar. Old guy kind of looks like Harrison Ford a little bit, doesn't he?
He looks a lot like Lee Majors.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's a good one, Lee Majors. Yeah,
yeah,
like Lee Majors, Harrison Ford type.
Yeah.
So it's like there's your Han Solo type. So you can see the Star Wars, Firefly type influences. You look at this type of design on this ship, and doesn't that look like one of the Naboo starfighters, even though the Naboo starfighter wasn't designed yet?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like there's you can see the kind of influences back and forth. So yeah, I'm enjoying that one so far. I'm gonna reread it and give a more thorough thing. And like Joey said, it looks like something Heavy Metal would have had in their magazine. And yeah, very much so. Okay, let's see what else we've got. We got so much to talk about. We got Bug Wars #2 from $4.99 from Image Comics. Writer Jason Aaron, art by Mohamed Azra by covers by Matthew Wilson. Cover shown one here is Yannick Paquette, because I just love this cover by Yannick Paquette. Mohamed Azra did one, and so did Tony S. Daniel. Lettering by Becca Carey. Heather Antos is the editor. Science fiction fantasy. Released March 19th, 2025. What is it about? Slade Slaymaker, that's a heck of a name, isn't it?
Yep.
Is lost in his own backyard, prisoner of tiny bug-riding warriors known as mites. In Swarm City, the most dangerous hive in all the yard, Slade will have to learn to unleash his newfound powers or else watch his family die. What did I think? So, Slade got shrunk down to the size of an insect last issue, in part because his brother decided to be a psychopathic nutcase because he couldn't cope with the death of their father, who was an entomologist who died under mysterious and horrific means. He's now in the backyard of the house, where he's been adopted into a tribe of insects, and all of them are in danger, not just between the wars of the tribes of insects of who's ruling the backyard jungle, but because his brother wants to wipe all of them out because he just hates insects because of what happened to his father, because he's the one who found the body. And they all want to kill his brother too, because he mows the grass in the yard and kills their jungle and kills them. Okay. This story went by rather quickly. Didn't have the foul language issues that were really bothered Chris last issue. So there were a couple swears, but nothing like last time. And last time it was like, what, a third cussing?
Oh yeah, it was a lot. It was, and look, I like a good swear word, but it was a lot.
Yeah, it was too much. Azra's doing a really nice job. The world building is visually strong, but a little bit lean on the story construction aspect, in my opinion. What's going on in the story, it's not like there hasn't been some breather space to do a lot of exposition. But it's almost like the reverse of what Let There Be a Devil #2. It's like, I need more story. The art's great, but give me some story.
Right.
Whereas the other one's like, this is all story and no comic art. Give me some action. Right. It's like, can we find the happy medium between these two? But again, I love the cover by Paquette. I sometimes forget how underrated he is as an artist in this market. I am really glad that the story didn't have so much cussing this go around. I think Heather Antos talked some sense in the Jason Aaron this issue, maybe.
That could be, yeah.
It's very much an improvement over the first issue in that regard. enough that I'm still interested in reading the series, and that was not a guarantee after issue number 1 because of how much swearing there was. Because I agreed with you, I thought that was a bit to the excess. I think I gave it a 3 out of the last on this one, and this one's a 4. It was an improvement over issue 1.
Okay, yeah, and the art is gorgeous.
Yeah,
and with names like Slaymaker and Bugs and all the other stuff, this one could have been written by Stan Lee, true believer.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to, I could show some of the art, I suppose. Again, let's see where. I think the book's here. Should be. So many books. There it is. Thought I saw it in there. Here's the cover. Again, looks a little bit different when you see it like this. The back cover is just one bug.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, what kind of bug is that? It's like,
it's a mosquito.
Yeah, but with that red glow in it?
Yeah, it's blood.
Okay. All right.
You've never sat and let a mosquito just like suck your blood and watch it fill up with blood?
No. No, thank you.
That's what they look like.
Okay.
I was bored as a kid, okay?
Okay, now here's fun. Here's something really cool. He's shrunk down to the size, and they're all the other alien bug persons are gonna like pick on him. And he's like, "Oh, I don't think so." Rips the guy's arm off because his proportionate strength is that of a human, shrunk down into his little size.
Ah, okay, so a little Ant-Man going on.
Yeah, or Adam or whatever, and then like he blows up in size to his normal size. And they're like, "Oh, we have to like get rid of him or something. We got to tie him down into the things." And he's like, "Oh, good, I'm back to my normal size." He starts calling for his brother, and he needs help. Help me! What's going on? I don't know why I'm shrinking and growing at the same time. And then he like shrinks back down and pukes, and falls.
Jeez.
And falls right into his own puke because he passes out from the changing of the sizes back and forth. And that's how they capture him.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's but it's well drawn. I mean, here is the hive.
Yeah, it's extremely well drawn.
So,
yeah, it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with nudity and vomit and blood and gore.
That's what it is. You got it. So they're, it is what it is. So anyway, it is an improvement from first issue. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one. That's Cruel Kingdom number 4. This is the last issue of this series. $4.99. EC Comics Only Press. Writers and artists varies because it's an anthology series. Genre fantasy adventure released April 2nd, 2025. In EC's final slash in the realms of fatalistic fantasy, step once more through the veil into a shadowy world of demons and dragons, alchemy and anguish, where a fork in the path can be the difference, not bet, between untold treasures and certain doom. Nice covers, but as I will expand on my thoughts more thoroughly when I talk about Epitaphs from the Abyss in a little bit, stories are not quite hitting the mark as EC style stories. Honestly, you could just change the lettering style to something more modern and put most of these stories over in Hello Darkness or other modern day horror, science fiction, dark fantasy anthology. And I'm not really, I want something that's more EC. The cover here, the face of the monster, that's EC looking in a way,
yes.
But the rest of it is more like a heavy metal almost.
Yeah, it does have a European look to it.
It doesn't make the stories bad. It's a reasonably well-crafted anthology. I just wish there was something that made this book say EC Comics to me. And because of that, I give it a 3 out of 4. It's pretty straightforward, It's just an average comic. Let's talk about the next one. DREAMOVER, original graphic novel, 1999, from Top Shelf Productions, IDW Publishing. Creator Danny Diaz. Genre slice of life teen drama fantasy, released January 14th, 2025. What is it about? In this captivating debut YA graphic novel, two best friends becoming more than friends feels like a dream come true. But when one sleepover literally turns into a dream, will they ever want to wake up again? Amber's a headstrong goofball with a temper. Nico's a shy, self-conscious emo boy, but they've been best friends since 3rd grade, and she can't hide her feelings for him any longer. At the end of their 8th grade beach trip, she confesses her feelings, and the feeling is mutual. Thus begins a glorious, blissful summer of first love. But once high school starts, life gets more complicated. Faced with early mornings, bullies, homework, and other stresses, Amber and Nico cling to each other, neglecting their other friends. Soon Amber starts to wish that she and Nico could escape from all of it. One night, when they fall asleep after playing video games, she gets her wish, but wishes are never quite what they seem. What do I think? A very bold and dynamic debut by creator Danny Diaz. This massive 312-page slice of life meets teen drama meets metaphysical fantasy comedy hits all the right buttons as we explore the drama of self-exploration, teen culture, and relationships during the puberty years. Diaz's craftsmanship is far beyond her years in this work. She really packs a lot of characterizational depth in her characters while keeping them engaging and annoying, because, hey, we were all of us annoying as teenagers. Yet she also manages to have a thoroughfare narrative that is clearly her as an omniscient narrator, but it's subtle and only used when appropriate, which is something I see seldomly done well, especially from someone who's their very first published work. So yeah, very good thing there. Also, a very heartfelt story. You can tell Diaz poured themselves into it. She pays homage to Winsor McKay's Little Nemo and Slumberland, classic movies like The Never-Ending Story, but it has a very early 2000-centric vibe owing to her own generation. And I would put this in the top 5 recommendations for graphic novels for libraries and schools for this year, even this early into the year.
And I feel like if you're going to read this, you should have REO Speedwagon playing in the background, I can't fight this feeling anymore.
Oh, yeah, not just that song, but yeah, I could actually hear that whole soundtrack of that. Actually, 4.5 stars for this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the book, because this is not something I could have gotten scans for if I wanted to. But real quick, Bug Wars reminds you of Honey and Shrink. Yeah, Backyard Adventure. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, here's the book. Again, cover. They got a nice sheen gloss on it that you didn't get to see on the other there. Back cover. Again, that nice reflective coating on there.
Yeah.
Get that.
And you're right. It does seem to have a little very distinct Little Nemo feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, in parts it does. Just the way they act in the car and the school bus with different people on the bus. Yeah. You guys used to make faces at people as they went by when you were in the school bus driving to school, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I just think her art has a nice presence to it. It's cartoony, but she has enough detail to differentiate levels of depth and good architectural design.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like it's consistent all the way through. Go to the theater, they're talking about different things, they're watching a movie at home. Now they're at the school cafeteria. Different friends are picking on each other.
And the teenagers look like teenagers.
Yeah. Just a second.
There's the Midnight Monster.
Yeah, you can see him. Come on. I gotta be on the TV. I gotta be on the TV. Pay attention to me too. Here I am. So anyway, yes, definitely a good book. Again, I don't know. People our age might not necessarily be into it, but I think it's just right for junior high, early high school. age readers.
Yeah.
That's why I say, definitely for school and libraries, I would definitely recommend this book. Okay. Well, we got to get into this one again. Epitaphs from the Abyss, number 9, $4.99. Same sort of situation as Cruel Kingdom, March 19th, 2025. Unfortunately, this series keeps getting weaker with each passing issue. While all the stories are acceptable, none of them really capture what I consider the essence of EC titles were in their heyday. It's like today's writers and artists are too scared of the snowflakes of today who can't handle a proper horror comic. I really wish someone would go balls out and really write and draw something that reflects the EC content that Jack Kamen and Jack Davis and Graham Ingalls and Lee Elias and others of that era were doing, instead of trying to do this modernized crap. It's like they're trying to do 1980s and 1990s HBO TV show of Tales of the Crypt, then they're trying to be faithful to the original era. And I'm getting really bored with that approach. Tales from the Crypt, or Tales of the Crypt, from HBO had the luxury of picking select stories from the archives to adapt. And that's a big part of why it worked. But if you remember, the spin-off Crypt Keeper stuff that was new didn't work. The perversions of science, spin-off science fiction series that HBO tried didn't work. And that's because they did exactly the same sort of things that are going on in these comics. And it doesn't have the same vibe as classic EC content. So, it's not that the stories are bad necessarily, but they're just kind of like middle of the road. So it's a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, they're dishwater.
Yeah. So I'm just not really into it anymore. And, Cruel Kingdom 4 was the last issue. I don't know how many more Epitaphs of the Abyss there are going to be, because I don't see people really talking about this book. I don't see people buying it because, they were promised EC and they're not getting EC.
Exactly. And what really sours me is that people are going to be like, they're going to be like, well, we tried to bring EC comics back and nobody would buy it. Well, no, you didn't really truly do that. You brought back on a much watered down version of it.
Right. Yeah. So, it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to let you read this one, even though it's not your favorite pick.
Alrighty. This is the Errand Boys trade paperback, $19.99, from publisher Dark Horse Comics, writer DJ Kirkbride, artist Nikos Koutsis, colorist Mike Torres, Nikos Koutsis, lettering Frank Svetkovic, editors Philip R. Simon, collection Adam P. Nave and L. Anderson for the original singles. Genre, science fiction and action adventure. Release date, April 13th, 2022. Rating is 14+. What this is about, in the future, a decent job is hard to find, especially if you're a hard-worked scoundrel with commitment issues. Jace is a lifelong solo act running dangerous errands for the most questionable of clients. But when his 13-year-old half-brother comes to live with him, after the tragic death of their father, he's got 2 mouths to feed. Between evading the law, running from aliens, and jumping off skyscrapers, the only thing weirder than the vastness of space is family. And Jace isn't getting any younger, and one can't be an errand boy forever.
This is basically what if Han Solo didn't have Chewbacca and had to partner with a teenager instead. Now, there are scenes that are reminiscent from my own work from Blake and Tara Intergalactic Thieves, but that's just because the genre motif of science fiction themes with Hearts of Gold is what it is, and you're going to see sort of similar things going on. So in that respect, it kind of feels sort of what I would do, so there's some familiarity to it for me. But on the other hand, there are clearly some nods to Image characters in the series, and it was originally published in singles at Image. So it has, though, very same kinds of trappings and problems that most Image series have, I'm sorry to say. And that is, it has way too many derivative elements that can potentially take the reader out of the narrative, because instead of trying to read the story, you're looking for all the winks and nods and Easter eggs in the story and artwork, which in turn weakens the overall work because you're not fully engaged with the story that's actually being told. Now, that having been said, if you read through it once and ignore all of that and not look for the stuff and then go through it a second time you already know the story, and you go look and find the Easter eggs and the homages and whatnot, you can have a really fun time with it that way on the second turnaround. But it is what it is. I would like to see this creative team do something a little more unique and original, because they crafted a reasonably well done series here. But I'm pretty sure the reason I didn't get this when I was coming out in singles back in 2018 and 2019 was because I realized how derivative it was going to be. And the only reason I got it in a trade from Dark Horse is because I didn't realize that's what it was when I ordered it online. It just looked interesting, from the cover, and stuff. So anyway, I give it a 3 out of 5. Chris, you didn't like it as well as I did. So what did you have to say about it?
I will say that the artwork was good. Of course, I enjoyed the artwork. The story, I made it through like 10, 15 pages. I was bored.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my blood sugar was high. I don't know. And I was tired, but I couldn't get through it. I was just bored with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it can be very dull. I mean, did you even understand what was going on in the first 10, 15 pages?
I understand that he was having this relationship with the alien and his brother was coming to live with him and all that stuff. Yeah. So
what I mean is, there was stuff that was humorous as heck going on. I mean, he's being chased because he stole a pack of alien baseball cards in a box, and he jumps in and he lands in a freaking pool with this box full of baseball cards.
And then he doesn't get paid full value because they got ruined. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think that's hilarious because it's like, that's what you're going after is baseball cards or comic books. It's like this whole, it's kind of like the Hal Jordan thing.
Right.
It's like, we can't write about anything of actual value. We got to figure out how to make something that our nerd audience will relate to. God forbid that they take something of actual value. It's like, really, you hired someone to steal a box of baseball cards from your relative because you were afraid your relative was going to ruin them. And now this guy who's getting chased by, the mob practically. They're shooting at him left and right. Don't you think they would go, stop shooting at this guy? He's got my cards.
One would think this is just, I don't know. It didn't click with me.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought you do see where some of it was derivative too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, let's take a look at some of the artwork on
Well,
this.
even the artwork was very J. Scott Campbellish.
Yeah. Here's the artwork. I mean, you can see, he looks like Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
He's Han Solo with swashbuckler boots. And here's where he leaps off and lands in the water in the pool. He's like, "Oh, I gotta keep going. They're gonna just kill me." He leaps off the side of this building, skyscraper, into the city below. Very Star Wars-ish. I'm going to be a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And he lands butt first into this motorcycle while his girlfriend's standing there fighting his face. And the funny part of this is, there's something similar in Blake and Terror like this, but not quite as dumb. I mean, if you fall speeding and you go smack back first into a bike like that, you're going to hurt yourself really bad.
Yeah, you'd end up with a broken back. But, hey, suspension of disbelief and all.
Right. And he's like, well, I love you. Let me just, stay back there. Yeah. I don't know why. You smell like fish or something. And then they go, after they've gotten away, they go to a freaking sushi bar. You smell like fish. Let's go to a sushi bar. It's so Asian in that regard.
Right.
And then she dumps him because you're just such a loser, you know. and then he's got to talk to the adoption people, you know, and this guy looks, you know, it's kind of like a cross between Hammerhead and the guy from the not Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Mighty Men and Monster Maker. Do you remember those from the 70s?
Do not.
Okay. There was a toy type thing that had these plates.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. There was one of the aliens had this face. You know, so I was like, yeah. It's like, okay, you know. And there's his half brother because his father dumped him for an alien and left him his mother behind. So it's kind of this weird thing. So I don't know. It's not bad though. I mean, this thing is so bad in story wise though that Jace gets put frozen for failing to pay his parking tickets. They give him not the carbonite treatment, but basically the carbonite treatment. And he's frozen in suspension for like so many years, and he actually ages while he's in suspension. His body ages, so it's kind of weird, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, like I said, I gave it like a 3, and you gave it a 2. So next one, Galaxy of Madness, $4.99. Publisher Mad Cave Studios, writer Magdalene Visaggio, artist Michael Avon Oming, sort of. Victor Santos, yes. Colorist Taki Soma, letterer Morgan Martinez, editor by James B. Emmett. Genre science fiction action adventure, released. I don't know what the date was, but it was like in the last 2-3 weeks. Anyway, Prios finds yourself adrift in the various iterations of the galaxy because they're showing different multiversal spaces of it. Searching for Vigil and her teammates. The only constant in all this madness is Odysseus, his hunger for power, and his lies. However, lies are only as strong as their liars and those who believe in them. What did I think? I hate to repeat myself, but I have no choice. We talked about this with issue 6 and 7 once. Once Michael Avon Oming stopped doing the interior art, my interest in this book has waned to almost nothing. And that's not because Victor Santos is doing bad art. He's not. Or because the story is bad. It isn't. It just feels like it's lacking that magical spark that is unique to Avon Oming's artwork. And this just takes the book from a top-level contender to just average. So I just give it a 3 out of 5. And there's 2 more issues. You know, we'll call it good. It's, you know, when the kit's over, I'll be like, yay. So it is what it is. Our next book is Howl number 2. I'll let you read it.
All right, Howl number 2 for $3.99. Publisher Ahoy Comics. Writer Alyssa Whitney. Artist Mariset. Letterer Rob Steen. Designer John J. Hill. Editor Tom Pyre. Backup features by Alyssa Whitney, Mallory, and Joe Orsak. Genre science fiction. Released February 19th, 2025. What it's about: a dented can of soup gives Ziva a weird clue that her science fiction author husband might not be of this earth. Author Alyssa Whitney based this series on her parents' time in Greenwich Village in the 1950s, 1960s.
Okay. What I thought. A lot of what Whitney is doing is semi-biographical to her parents' lives together in late 50s Greenwich Village, as her father is science fiction author Robert Sheckley, and her mother, Ziva, was a journalist when they met. Whitney is really tackling what seems to be her working through some childhood issues while playing up the absurdist stylings of her father's writing as an author and paying a really fine tribute to his memory 20 years after his passing. I still feel like this is one of the best pure science fiction comics to come down the pike in quite some time. And it should be on the short list, if not a finalist, for Best New Series for 2025. It just has so many different layers of context to the story, and Morissette's art is really doing a beautiful job. Even the artwork, Ziva, who's the woman on the bottom right corner there. It looks like Elise's mom, Ziva. It's just really good stuff. What did you think, Chris?
The artwork on this was just pure eye candy. Just freaking gorgeous. The story was good. I had kind of forgotten what issue 1 was about, and I was starting with issue 2, and I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of a weird title because it's kind of like it's alien body horror. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the story was very good. It kept me interested. Again, yeah, it should be. If you like science fiction and good art, this should be on your list.
What do you think, little one? Oh, yeah, he just wants his attention. That's my kitty. Anyway, got it right here. Let's see the cover again without the trade dress. Yeah, just really nice stuff. What, you're going to get down? Good, thank you.
I rather enjoyed the therapy sessions where they're actually discussing, well, how are you doing? How are you couple along with your alien duties there?
Yeah. Yeah, all these things are really quite well drawn. It has Morissette draws a lot like Mike Allred and Avon Oeming as well. But then you get into the really gruesome stuff at the end here.
Yeah, I just like that retro style.
And they got all, oh, gee, what's going on here?
Or when he eats the can of whatever that disgusting, he's like, oh, what? We're not wrong with this. We're fine.
Yeah, right. Or here's another one of the aliens type thing. I'm going to cut my fingers off. And she's like, oh, my God. Wait a minute. There's no blood. What's going on here? What's going on? You don't worry about that. You just go answer the door. And she's like, oh, thank God. I need your help. I need your help. We need to get to the nurse and get her some medical help. She just cut her fingers off. Come on, come on, come on. And what's going on? Her fingers are fine.
Nothing to see here.
Yep. So it's going to be quite interesting how this thing progresses. But what I really liked was when she did the background story talking about her mom and the real life stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the back end and talking about how her life with her mom, because her father was always over in Europe and wasn't around and stuff like that. And it was interesting to go into that. Because like I said, it's really like she's almost going through her personal trauma through this.
Right, yeah, exercising her personal demons, yeah.
Yeah, but it's really well done. I'm proud of Elise for doing this one. I really am.
It was, I was impressed.
I give it 4 stars. Or no, you give it 4 stars, and I give it 4.5. So that is that one. Let's see what else we've got. Welcome to the Maynard, number 4. Last issue of the series from Dark Horse Comics from '99. Writer James Robinson, artist J Bone, color Ian Herring, lettering Jim Campbell, cover art by J Bone. I don't think there was a second cover. Maybe there was, but I think this is the only cover there was. Editor Daniel Chabon, genre action, adventure, fantasy, and humor. Release date March 19, 2025. They say 16 plus. I could go a little bit younger, but I understand why they said 16 plus. Has to do with the fact that the lead character is a lesbian and other things, and some of the people might be a little bit offended by that for younger readers.
Right.
What it's about. As Pip, that's the lead character, female on the right, investigation at the Maynard Hotel of Magic and Wizardry. Pip and Sam and her mentor and the Maynard's house detective have finally cracked the mystery of the hotel thief after having put all the pieces together. They must race to stop a sorcerer's assassination of a magical VIP. And it's an epic battle of spells with Pip thrown right in the middle. At the same time, Pip and her girlfriend Ronnie must sadly acknowledge the ever-growing rift between them. Mystery, danger, and heartbreak, all in the final issue of this arc, or possibly even the series. Not happy to hear that. The Dark Horse solicitation reads series finale, not just the arc finale. So it might be the last time we get to see this. I certainly hope that isn't true because it has been one of Dark Horse's better series as of late. It is the end of the miniseries, sure, but it would be a shame not to see more of these characters. James Robinson, who writes this, is most often on his A game when he's writing his own properties, and this series is no different. I'm sure that J-Bone's art feels more all ages to some, and I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to say 13 and up instead of 16. But again, like I say, because of the lesbian relationship, it is a little bit more YA adult in that with the relationship between Pip and Veronica. It feels like this world is similar to that of Chance Falconer from Robinson's series Leave It to Chance with Paul Smith. And this was a nice little introduction to the series, and I hope we see more of it in the future. That's basically all I've got to say on that. What did you think, Chris?
So I got done reading this, and I had to message Lewis. I'm like, is it a well-known thing that that Hamilton is an homage to Jim Steranko? Because he's like dead on, and if you know anything about Jim Steranko, he was also a stage magician. So this is quite obviously Jim Steranko. And Lewis is like, yeah, he's like, most people don't even really know who the hell Jim Steranko was.
yeah. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Because they kind of know him from his Marvel work, but they don't know who Jim Steranko really was. They don't know anything about him being a magician and a escape artist, and I mean, all the things that he was, because he was kind of like the 1960s Houdini in a way.
He was a guy who did a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
and I just remember Jim Lee talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
And not Jim Lee, Stan Lee, sorry, talking about him.
Right.
And going, Jim showing him his art. Mm-hmm. And Stan going, we don't have anything for you right now, but you're too good to let go. We're going to find something for you.
Yeah. Right.
And
right.
So this series for me it's almost like if Harry Potter met, what's the Keanu Reeves shoot 'em up movie?
John Wick.
John Wick, yeah. If Harry Potter meets the hotel in John Wick.
Okay. The hotel in John Wick. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.
That's the feel I got for it. And as far as being 16 plus for, because the main characters are lesbians, literally, it was more like, oh yeah, by the way, this is my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Kind of lesbian. There was nothing it didn't go into it at all.
No, well, it did, but it didn't. It didn't go into it graphically. It went into it in terms of the fact that they were struggling and not being true to each other because Pip was trying to not telling her about all the weirdness that was going on at her job.
Yeah, she had to be secret.
Yeah, and so because would you even believe what I told you if I told you? But
right.
But yeah, it does have a sad ending in a lot of ways for that. And yet, I don't know. There's that going on, and then there's a few other things that lead it to a little more 16 and up as well. But
it had some mature themes. I mean, it had death. Death was one of the themes, of course.
Well, death is not really a mature theme. I mean, come on, we all knew what we talk about death.
I guess it depends on how you deal with it.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, it was well done. Anyway, again, I give it 4 just for this issue. Chris gave it 4.5 for the whole series, and that's because he read the whole series at once because he forgot we read about these and reviewed them earlier.
Yeah, so, I didn't. Yeah.
So
good.
So at least you got to read the whole thing as a whole. And I think that's why for you when you read the whole series as a whole. Yeah, it doesn't quite Yeah, I can see where you're coming from too on that. So, that's pretty much our reviews for the week, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, but let's show some of the art. There you go. Very cartoony, like you say. But I don't know. It's cool. I love how it's like showing Pip running, and it breaks the panels all through.
And there's a picture of Jim Steranko too, if you can bring it up.
Where?
I posted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's that.
There's Jim Steranko. And then...
Okay, hold on a second.
And then Hamilton.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it.
Yep, the glasses are unmistakable.
Yeah, and the hair. The hair.
And the hair, yeah. The hair and the glasses, unmistakable.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the chin.
Oh, yep. The chin, yep.
So, yeah, it's definitely that. Yeah. Actually, can you see him actually dressing like that? It's kind of funny, but
yeah, I can.
But I just love the action that J-Bone has put in here with Pip sliding onto the stage and everything. It's just really well done.
Yeah, it is.
Let me hop through the trying to think what is that called? The luggage carrier.
Luggage trunk.
Yeah. So, and then here comes the assassin. I'm gonna kill you. And she's like trying to find them. Whoops. Okay, so that's all them. But yeah, really well done. And that is our final one for the week. Next week we're gonna do the Shudder issue that I didn't get to this week because there was just so much to review, as you saw. We're gonna go back to Green Lantern Corps number 3. We're going to stick with it for just a little bit longer because I want to see if they ever give Joe Moline something worth a damn to do. The final issue of DC Horror Presents Creature Commandos, 6 out of 6. John Norris, our regular co-host, will be returning next week. He'll be reviewing Power Lords number 3 with us. We'll be reviewing Jump Scare number 2. Junkie, the trade paperback, The Secret of Ravens trade paperback. Oh, geez. I can't remember the whole name of it now. Oh, Destroying Angel Lumen. And that's a Kickstarter book by Tony McMillan. And then I don't know how we came across the Santos sisters. Do you remember how we... Oh, yeah, because we were looking at Alterna books.
Yep.
Alternative books, that's right. And they advertised it, and I just happened to come across an issue at one of the local comic shops, so I grabbed it so we could talk about Santos sisters as well. So that'll be next week, as well as other books that we'll be reviewing as well. Tomorrow, we're going to do our movie night and TV talk night, and it'll be Star Wars oriented, Disney Star Wars, we should say. As you can see, I am now going to be the Sith Darth Bright Raven. and my apprentice Chris Mulhall will be inviting you for an evening of Disney Star Wars discussion, and we'll be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, and the Admiral. So I hope you're looking forward to that, Chris.
I am, very much so.
Okay, so if you enjoyed the show, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. In the meantime, if you have questions, email me at quothravenlbr@gmail.com, or look for me on Facebook, Lewis.WriteRaven, or at the Muskrat channel, Lewis at WriteRave 2. You can see my artwork at DeviantArt.com. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven on YouTube. And if you can't get me on any of those other things, try me at LewisBrightRaven at Yahoo.com. And if you want to get a hold of Chris, well, he's at Christopher M. Hall, 1973 at gmail.com. Alrighty then. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you guys always. We'll see you next time. Quoth the Raven. Nevermore.
Nevermore.